Well, hello, it's Linda. I'm here again, changing time a little bit, but so glad that you're joining me today. And I'm excited to be able to share with you something that is, well, something we deal with every single day. How are you getting along with others? Do you have people in your life, family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, that you just can't stand, that you're just not getting along with? If that's the case, then please listen in today because I've got some things to share with you that I think are going to help. So let's open with a little prayer. Father, thank you that you've brought people this morning to listen to this message that you have. I just ask that you'd open their hearts and that you would get their pens ready and that you would help them to want to hear what you have for them so that they can be what you would have them be in life. In Jesus' name, amen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. I'm Linda Larson Schlitz, and I'm a counselor in Wausau, Wisconsin, and it is snowing today here. It is November 12th, and we are so grateful to be able to have a life that we can live day after day that gives us opportunity to get up and be a difference, make a difference to the world, no matter what the weather is outside. We're grateful. What I want to share with you today are some tools that I've been using, my husband and I have been using for many years that really help our relationship. They help us be better people. They help us get along with others. And I have been using a larger portion of these tools for all of my life in some capacity. But 46 years ago in September, I accepted God in a new way. I always believed in God. I always believed Jesus died on the cross for my sins, but it really did not have any transformational value to my life. It was just a crisis intervention. God, if you're there, I've got this problem, fix it for me. And I really did not ask God to give me guidance and to turn my life over. But I, at that time, was caught in alcohol, drugs, just couldn't quit the lifestyle. I was doing all kinds of stuff. Love, sex, drugs, and rock and roll where was the 70s in the United States at least. And I was not living a life that would have been bringing a whole bunch of glory to God because there was so much darkness, so many things I was doing that I was too ashamed of. And shame isn't a good thing. Shame is saying that you are a bad person. You are innately bad, but God created us to be good people. He created us with the opportunity to be filled with His Spirit and to live a life of love and joy and peace and patience and all those fruits of the Spirit that we see in people that have had long lives of being connected spiritually to people. That was not me at that time. I was living a much different life that was all about me. And when we get down to the rubber meeting the road in relationships, when we are in conflict with other people, it's because we want to do what we want to do. We want our way. We want them to do things our way. We want them to believe what we believe. We want them to do what we want them to do. And it really is about selfishness. Ooh, that's hard to hear. I know. But when you are looking at the people that you want to love you, that the people that do love you, what is it that makes you feel loved? It makes you feel loved if they are sacrificing, if they're doing something nice for you, they're making a nice meal, they're going out of their way, they're sending you a birthday card, they're saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" Things like that. They're listening to you, they're looking at you when you're talking, they're not texting on their phone. All these little things make us feel loved and cared about. And if we want people to love us in that way, we need to do the same for them. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how do we make that switch to not have conflict with people and to be concerned and caring about them. It's just a wonderful opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share a few of the tools that have helped me over the years. Um, Come from a wonderful place, a wonderful book that I read every day. It's called the Bible. Now, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in Jesus. You don't have to believe in any of that. But I can tell you, if you follow the principles that are here, they're going to benefit you. That's just common sense. So, First Peter 4:8, above all, love each other deeply because love covers a multitude of sins. It does, it covers a multitude of sins. And if we really truly love someone, just like God has loved us, just like our family, how many times have they forgiven the things that we've done? How many times have we apologized? And they're like, that's okay. I love you. And we get that grace. God gives us grace, but then he wants us to love others as he's loved us. That's the challenging part. First Thessalonians 5:11, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just in fact just as in fact you are doing. So as we use the gifts that God has given us, and he has given us his spirit, you'll get these things. I'm telling you, you're going to get these little notifications that'll say, oh, you should give her a call, or oh, reach out to that, or oh, why don't you respond to that message. Now sometimes some of us ADD people, we go off on tangents and we get going, consequently don't get a lot of other things done. But mindfulness is about maintaining what we're thinking about and what is in our thoughts. And if our thoughts are going in a negative direction, if they are going in a hurtful, hateful, non-productive way, we need to grab hold of those thoughts and we need to bring them back in. We need to be mindful of people, encouraging each other, building each other up. So as you're in a conversation with someone and you realize it's not going well and it's getting negative and you're escalating and you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, that if you escalate and you start saying, well, you blah, 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 that does not help. That does not help when we start throwing stones at each other. So that's one of those tools. Be mindful of what's coming out of your mouth. Be mindful first of what's in your thoughts, because it doesn't come out of your mouth until it comes here first. I'm telling you. And they're like, oh yeah, I couldn't help it. It just came out. No, there's something in here first. And I know I have ADHD, so I know that impulsivity, it's just bango, there it is. But there's also this underlying sensitivity we have to criticism, to people saying that we're not right, that we have failed, that we're not okay saying or doing what we're saying. So we feel compelled to correct them. That's why our relationships aren't good, because we feel compelled in our humanness, in our fleshly desires, to tell somebody they're wrong. Why? Because I want to be right. Because if I'm not right, what does that mean? Well, right in human sense doesn't really matter. It doesn't right if which political party you're voting for or whether or not that position's right. None of that matters as much as being right before you and God. And if you're right, then you're at peace. And then you have love and patience and kindness and long suffering. And it says, let no unwholesome word come out of your mouth. It's another verse. I think it's down somewhere. Let no wholesome word, unwholesome. Wholesome is a good, kind, building up, supporting, encouraging. That's wholesomeness. So if you're a Christian, especially, or someone who wants to do the spirit world's good work, unwholesome words that are cutting and mean and cruel and negative and shaming, this isn't God's way. It's just not a good spiritual way of doing things. It's about selfishness. That's what it boils down to. I know this is hard to hear. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay. Do what you're going to do and see how your relationships are working. And if you're doing that, yelling at people, taking your position, that's great. But is it serving you and God well? Colossians 3:19, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Ooh, there's a good one. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Oh, here it is, right here. I hadn't even read this, but here it is, Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. I came pretty close to quoting that. Good for me. You know what? That's what happens when you read the Bible. That's what happens when you pour yourself into personal development with things that are good for you and wholesome. You memorize it, it sticks, and you're much more likely to do what you're learning. But only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. Now, I'm already hearing people rationalizing and justifying why they are swearing and cussing at people. They're just trying to help them. Okay, God's got a better way. I have not found anywhere here in the Bible. And Jesus impacted a lot of people throughout time, right? Did you ever hear him swearing at anybody? Did you ever hear him or have record of him raising his voice anywhere except in the temple? I don't recall that. If you found it there somewhere, yeah, let me know. But that does not justify that we should be doing something. If you want to follow Jesus and hang on a cross for the love of all the people that hate you. Okay, so I know that sounds pretty crazy. But we can't just pull one thing out and say, but Jesus said here, and bash people over the head with it, and then hate them over here. You can't say one thing and then do another. John 13:34. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So must you love one another. Not if you feel like it. I want you, this was transformational for me when somebody said, a lot of these scripture verses are not suggestions, they're commands. A new command I give you. It even tells you that it's a command. It doesn't leave it for questioning. A new command, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. Let that sink in. Love one another as I have loved you. Think of that. Think of how much that God has loved us, put up with us, sacrificed for us, blessed us, given us things that we don't deserve, don't even need, and yet we have them. We've just been so blessed. He's given us so much grace, so many amazing opportunities and things that we could do. Why? So we could love others. Oh, yeah, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to take the responsibility that we are on this earth to love one another because it's hard. It's hard to love others. Why is it so hard? Because we want our own selfish ways. If we could only lay hold of the truth. I was talking to my stepson about this week about how do you get what you want in life? And whether you're listening to Tony Robbins or James Malinchak or uh, Earl Nightingale or any of those, Paul Harvey, you get it by service. You get what you want by service. Yeah, that's why putting Facebook ads out doesn't work until you serve somebody. You can put an ad out, but then if you go to listen to that person and they don't do what they say they're going to do for you, then it really hasn't helped you. But if they serve you, if they help you, if they're kind to you, if they're giving and loving and non-judgmental, you're going to respond to them better, right? Now we can get on a bandwagon with somebody who is taking a position or trying to get a point across and go, yeah, 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 that's how I think too. And we got to tell them, and we got to show them that they're wrong, that they're living in sin, or that they're doing this, that, or the other. But does that really work to change someone else's heart? Does it change someone else's heart? When somebody comes at you and calls you names and tells you you're wrong, how open are you to actually hearing, oh, yeah, that's true. Thank you for swearing at me and telling me I'm a blankety blank idiot. You know, you're right. I know better because I don't respond well to that. I still, if somebody does that to me, like I had someone kind of do that on Facebook this week to me, and there had been a death in the family. One of our people that we have worked with for many years passed away, and um, we were his emergency contacts, and a lot of other people were very upset that we knew all about it and nobody else knew about it and family didn't know, and why didn't we do all these different things, and said some pretty harsh things and got some swearing going on there. I could have taken offense. Some people really took offense. I took into consideration that this person's really hurting. What can I do to help? How can I make you feel better? That's what we have to do. If somebody yells and screams at you, my response is usually, what is going on with them? Stop first before you start spewing. Stop and go, wow, what are they going through? What are they going through that has triggered them that much from what I said, did, whatever? And how can I help to make that better? Sometimes there's nothing you can do. It's not about you, it's about them. But you cannot react is some of the best advice is to not react. Sometimes not reacting at all, or just saying, sorry about that. Wish I could have done something different. You don't have to explain, you don't have to rationalize, justify. I mean, you can try, but sometimes there are people that are just so into their own anger for whatever reason that you can't fix it by trying to have a discussion or yell about it. It's just the way it is. And that's okay. It's okay for people to be angry and upset with you. Really, it's okay. You can't fix that. You can try to help them. You can make amends if they've done something wrong. You can really and should try to find out and examine your own heart and pray, God, have I come off in ways? I mean, what can I do different? Not how can I change them? How can I get away from them? But what can I do different to love them, to show them care and concern? What have I done that maybe I didn't realize? I have a tone sometimes, I'm telling you, even when I'm doing this, I have a tone that comes across isn't necessarily very kind and loving. Why do I do that even with people that I care about? Because it's a helpless feeling when someone that you care about or love is self-destructing, and you get desperate. You get a feeling of, oh, I don't want you to do this. So you escalate in how we're taught and trained that if anger can get somebody to change their ways, then you should get angry because maybe that's going to get through to them. And sometimes it does because that's how we're trained. Some people, that's all they respond to, unfortunately. But I do not want to be that person that gets angry, raises my voice, gets upset about things just so that I can get my way. Unfortunately, some people just make the choices they make, and all the upsetness in the world is not going to change their ways. We may have to come in a different way, and we may have to just love them through their trials, love them literally to death, which is what happened with our friend. We really tried to help him turn his life around, to quit drinking, quit using, rally around us, let us love you until you can, find a better way. And sometimes it just does not, it's just not enough. Doesn't mean you're the failure, doesn't mean you're wrong, doesn't mean that you have not loved them enough because they chose to drink themselves or drug themselves to death or commit suicide or divorce you. It doesn't mean that it's your fault. People make choices, but we have to continually, daily do that inventory saying, God, what can I do different to show this person that I care? Whether it's a coworker, a colleague, whoever, doesn't matter. Children especially. Parents, here's a harsh rude awakening. You don't ever have to get angry at your child. Whoa, what do you mean don't have to get angry? Okay, well, yes, we're human. And anger isn't bad. It's what we do with our anger. You may feel angry, you may feel all kinds of things, but how do we deal with those hurt feelings? Because anger's always a secondary emotion. There's always another feeling under anger. It doesn't seem like it because it comes really fast, but that's because anger, if it comes really fast, that's because we have used anger as a tool to harm other people, to get them to do what we want. That's why anger is so quick. We're so quick to anger. And what else does it say? I think there's another one here. We aren't down yet. Oh, here it is. Next one. James 1:19-20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Take note. Are you writing notes? Take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Human anger. So yelling at your kids, spanking them, is not going to get them. Threatening them is not going to get them what they need, which is your unconditional, consistent love. How in the world do you love a rebellious teenager? That's a whole nother session. But in a nutshell, kids need rules. We all need rules. We need rewards for doing that. We're obedient to God. The reward is peace of mind, peace of heart, good life. There's rewards. We need to give good rewards to our kids. And there needs to be consequences when they aren't doing what God has laid out for us to tell them to do. But we don't have to get angry about it. This was really helpful for me to learn. And even with the residents that we've worked with in our sober house, the people that I work with in business, oh gosh, we talked about that. Here's that rule. Remember what's going to happen if you break this rule, if you drink or if you, then you're not going to be able to get this benefit, housing, help. It doesn't mean you don't love them anymore. It does mean that they have to learn sometimes the hard way, in, a painful way, as we all do, that there is consequences. God is telling us, stop eating that junk. It's going to kill you. And then we wonder why we have heart attacks and strokes and have clogged arteries and high blood pressure, self included. There's consequences. Sometimes they come quickly, sometimes they come slowly, but there is always a consequence to our choices and to the way we, and if we're yelling at our kids and shaming our kids because they're not doing what we want, we're going to get the rebellion of our children. We're not going to get them to react and respond in a calm, loving manner because we've never modeled calm, loving manner. We've modeled yelling and or anger or resentment. That's what we modeled. That's what we get. So that's the message today. So every week when I'm doing these messages, I jump up and I'm like, okay, Lord, what's my topic? So I grab a topic, I look it up on the internet, find my thesaurus thing, and then I flop this thing open, which is my book that I wrote 3 years ago. This next week it came out. 3 years ago, in 2019, this book came out. And it's called Speak to Me, God, I'm Listening. It's 365 daily meditations for those who want to hear God answer life's toughest questions. And I always had tough questions that I was asking God. For example, the one I just flopped open today was June 20th. Leading, are you leading or are you following? That was the question. Um, we need help throughout our lives. This is what I wrote. Throughout our lives, we have to accept that we need help. We need others to survive, from the child who nurses on the mother's breast to the old person who can no longer do things for themselves. We all need help. Where there is no one to lead and guide us, we fall apart, and so do our families, our nations, and the world. God is our ultimate leader, but he has sent multitudes of others to lead his armies of warriors that are doing battle with us against all the evil in the world. Are we ready to follow the leaders that God has sent to teach us how to be soldiers in his army? And what I can tell you is that if you're not getting the message, if the message you are getting is coming in anger and hostility and resentment, I totally question how much of it's coming from God, because God has a sense of love. The message may be harsh, but what are the presenters like? Are the presenters trying to bring it to you in love and trying to bring unity? What is that about? So I asked God, and he said in Luke 9:23, then he said to the crowd, if you want to be my followers, you must give up your own way, take your cross daily, and follow me. And then he said to me, since the garden of my child, since the Garden of Eden, mankind has been rebelling against what is best for them because they thought they could do it themselves. I created the world to live in harmony with one another, all trusting in me, your creator, who loves and cares about all of my creation. I long to have my people follow the path I have set before you, that you might not fall and be injured, yet people don't listen. I have sent those to guide you, but you have failed to follow. I have given you wisdom, but you failed to heed it. Today is a new opportunity to start again and truly turn it over so I can pick you up and lead you back to safety. You are loved and never left alone. You only need to reach out for help, and it will be done. So, are you ready today to learn to love others as God has loved you and me? Are you ready to put down the hammer and the axe and the gun and the verbal abuse and all the negativity to love and be loved, because it's not going to come back to you if you don't put it out. But if you've never gotten it, you don't know how to get it. So if you're not sure, please reach out. I put in the link a group that we have called Speak to Me, God, I'm Listening, where we share with each other's some tools that work and to stay focused on God's will for us and giving us the power to carry that out. Father, I just thank you that there are those that have listened today, and that there are those whose will it is that you've given them to pass this on to someone else. Help us, Lord, to listen to you, to hear your word, to hear your voice, to obey and heed it and do what you've called us to do for your glory, that there might be peace on earth and goodwill toward all men. Amen. God bless you all. Thank you so much for